Hey fans, welcome to this episode of Hangin' with the Z-Man. You want to know how you had a rough weekend? Yeah, that was a lot of carnage. It's usually not what you see from the 33Z team. But we'll get her back together. We'll get her all straightened out, make it look nice. But on this episode, we're going to recap Baytown, break down the weekend for you, what it's like to run on these rough tracks and what you have to check to, when you get in those rough holes, and check welds and suspension parts and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to answer some Facebook questions. A lot of you guys had a lot of good questions on Facebook, and we'll get started.
Okay, so Baytown was a little bit rough on Zach, to say the least, and most other drivers. Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about Baytown, because even though you wrecked about almost every panel on the car, it still was kind of a good weekend in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it started out first time on the track in the heat race. We got the door tore off before we even took the green, so that was not a good way to start. But so that kind of set us behind for the whole weekend. So we had to run a B main, come from the back there, and obviously got in, had to come from the back of the A, and ended up almost getting second, ended up getting third out of the deal. So we had a great night, but the second night, not so great. It was rough conditions once again. Was on our way to having a great night again and getting into the top 5, but hit a hole, unfortunately, killed the engine, spun the car out. Just one of those deals when you're on the ragged edge, when you push the car too hard, you just never know. I mean, that kind of stuff can happen. So, but all in all, we have a fast race car here, and we'll just keep pushing forward.
Well, the car looked great. I was only able to see the video of the race. Didn't make it to Baytown, but one of the things I rarely see, because we live so far apart, I kind of meet up with these guys a lot of times halfway to the track, and then when the race is over, I'm on my way back to Minnesota. So rarely do I see the car like this, unloaded, stripped down, and Zach's got a little more to kind of go over on the car after a weekend like Baytown. So Zach, I mean, I asked him not to do anything to the car, to wait for a week. So normally this would all be done, because Zach's the kind of guy that gets working immediately, but we wanted to show it in the video. So right now he's got the panels off the car, and you can kind of see inside and just see how dirty everything is. But Zach would obviously get the car good and clean, but then what would you do after a rough and tumble track like you encountered last week?
Typically, I just have kind of a little one-on-one session with the car. I'll get under it with a creeper. That kind of sounds creepy, but the one-on-one session part. But just get underneath it with the creeper and just check out all the welds, check out all the suspension components, get some wrenches underneath there. Check all pretty much every hex-headed bolt, every bolt on the car. So. And then obviously just do our normal maintenance that we go through on a regular basis as well. So,
would you say there are some common points with a dirt car on a rough track that you kind of always go to, that to look for, a particular area in the chassis that maybe has that might have weakness? You're on a track like that, you're bottoming out and you're hitting the frame on the track and all kinds of things. So are there some problem areas that you kind of go to?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just the frame where it can dig into the track. Any suspension component that that holds the car or the rear end in the car, because obviously it's taken a lot of abuse hitting the ruts. So the parts that hold the rear end in there, left to right, and the bars, shocks is another huge abused item on the car when the track's rough. They build a lot of heat, and internals can go bad in them. So just constantly, it's definitely more of a chore to make sure all your components are working the way they should.
Cool. Well, you heard it there. Baytown, a little good, a little bad, but ultimately the car was super fast and, you know, able to move around on the track, it seemed, very well, and kind of stay out of some of that stuff. But this week, Zach's going to have a lot of this kind of work to do, because what did you take out on this car? You bent both lower nose pieces, the nose, did some damage to the decking, both doors, both quarter panels, and the hood.
Right.
So all in all, you know, pretty good consistency there.
Right. I mean, it's all kind of a plan of more aggression, I think, in the 2013 season. I think I get criticized for maybe being a little timid. So, well, this is a good start for the aggression part. Unfortunately, it makes Chris so sad that all this stuff looks like it does.
Well, it makes me sad, but it makes Jason at 49 Designs really sad, because this was one beautiful looking car.
Sorry, Jason.
Sorry, yeah, what do you do? Well, Jim made Zach sit in the corner for 30 minutes and think about what he did after he was going the wrong way on the track on Saturday. But everybody's over it now. Everything will get straightened out, shined up, and good to go. So we'll stop rambling and go to the next segment. All right, everybody. I promised that we would do a little question and answer session with Zach, and a bunch of you jumped on Facebook and threw some pretty good questions out there. So we're going to go through those with Zach here at the shop right now and see what he has to say. And if I mess up your name, if I slaughter some pronunciation, I apologize. I'll do my best. So let's see here. Eric Lamb would like to know, what kind of chassis do you run?
Well, the big story last year was our switch to a huge chassis, and that's actually what we're going to run this year. And having good luck with Jason and his cars. He's been a lot of help, and we enjoy racing with Jason, and we're going to stay with the huge stuff, and it's been good for us.
He'd also like to know if you run a lift bar or not.
Most of the car modifieds out there are either lift bar or pull bar. This car, used cars can be either or. A lot of them can be either or. So there's no real definite answer to that, because I change back and forth.
Cool. A bunch of people have asked here. Jeffrey Munson would like to know, and who else? Mitch Carlson would like to know what your favorite track or tracks are to race at, and what's kind of coming up for 2013 that you're really looking forward to.
My all-time favorite track is probably Decorah. And a lot of guys don't like Decorah, but it's more of your no straightaways, all corner, you're always turning. I just get a kick out of just being on the gas all the way around the track. There's not much letting off, so and getting through the corner and corner speed is really crucial. So we really run really well there. That's where I got my first USMTS win, and it's just kind of been one of my go-to favorites since then.
Sounds good. That is a cool little track. I went there for the first time here just last year, which is kind of funny because it's not incredibly far away from where I grew up watching the races. Michael Van Preter, this is probably the best question on both of the threads here. What do you think is your worst oh crap moment in your career?
I've had a couple, but I'd say probably the worst one was in Nebraska, in Greenwood, Nebraska, I-80 Speedway, in hot laps. For whatever reason, I didn't obviously get my steering wheel on the safety coupler snapped into place. So going around the corner, pretty fast track, and all of a sudden I lose complete control of any steering input, and I notice the steering wheel is just in my hands and not connected to the shaft. So that was a no crap moment for sure. And just hit the brakes, spun around backwards. Fortunately, we didn't have any damage, just barely missed the wall, but I would say that that one was too close to...
Not cool.
Not cool.
Not cool. Corey Vanderwall, and some of these we're going to expand. For those of you who asked questions about the chassis and some of those things, we're going to address that when we really get out on the road and we're doing some of the shooting at the tracks. In a couple of weeks here, I'll actually be attending the RaceWise chassis school that will be going on in Rochester, so I can get a better understanding of what's going on, and then the two of us together hopefully can tackle more of those questions. I'm actually going to bring the camera with and kind of do a wrap up every day while I'm there at RaceWise. Yeah, Corey Vanderwall, I want to know if there are some basic tricks you have to reading the track, you know, right when we get there, as far as, I'm assuming he's referring to the dirt conditions and moisture and all that kind of stuff.
We race at so many different kinds of tracks that we get thrown a lot of curveballs, obviously. So probably the first thing I do is, you know, take a good look at the track, probably ride the four-wheeler out on it and see what kind of surface we're going to deal with, and you know, determine gearing is probably one of the first things that we kind of goes through our minds. And then next, you kind of have to just wait till, you know, hot lap time comes around. You can kind of get an idea what it's going to be like before then, but not much. So depending on how much they water the track and what kind of dirt you've got, it's, you know, it's not a real science. Obviously, they don't put much water on. It's going to probably get drier and could seal over, get dusty or crummy. If they overwater, typically it'll get rough or choppy, or what most of us call is a heavy condition. So build a cushion. So just kind of determine, you know, just by how they prep it and that. So, and then as the night goes on, you know, it's constantly changing too. So just you just gotta watch the track drying out typically and make the necessary adjustments for that.
Sounds good. Maston Hall would like to know what ignition system you use in your car.
There's several different ones out there. Just, you know, chassis builder preference or driver preference, whatever, but my particular car has MSD set up in it. It's what I've had for years since I raced stock cars, so I understand it the best, and you know, there's other good ones out there. I'm not partial to MSD, but that's what we run, and that's that works good for us.
Dwayne Decker would like to know, from your point of view, how much does Chris enjoy washing the car between races?
He didn't get real cranky about it usually. He's a go-getter. He's usually back to the trailer before I even get back off the track, or I catch him running there as I'm pulling into my pit stall. So he takes it serious, and he's a go-getter. He doesn't complain much, and he'll throw a little stab in there every once in a while about, why'd you get this much mud on this piece, or what the heck were you thinking here? But I don't take him serious. So.
Doesn't get near as dirty when you're not running behind most of the field. So, you know, what do you do?
See?
What else do we got here? We got a couple more that I wanted to kind of cover. There's, like I said, there's a lot of chassis questions, and we'll get to those as we go throughout the season. Robert Blank would like to know, what do you like most about touring versus racing locally and being on the USMTS tour?
Probably the best thing is the travel and being able to see so many different racetracks and race with you know, we're kind of a family of drivers, I guess you could say. So we're a tight-knit group, and we enjoy racing against each other. The competition is the level is huge, so that's a big intriguing point to run, you know, with those guys on the road. The pay is good. Todd puts on a great show. You know, the rules fall right into line with kind of the way we like to race, and it's a good competitive series, and we like running locally too. But you know, it's, you know, we just do that here and there when we can, but all in all, the USMTS just provides a great atmosphere and good competition with great friends and family, and that's why we do it.
I would like to add that the places we get to eat while we're out on the tour can sometimes be a pretty big highlight too.
Yeah.
Sometimes when the racing isn't so good, we're just a barbecue eating team with a racing problem.
Yeah.
I like to say, but we've certainly done our share of
rib sampling.
Rib sampling, yeah, for sure. Everyone on the team loves that. Yep. So I think for now that's probably good with the questions, but keep sending them in. We'll answer as many as we can, and like I said, don't, if you didn't hear your answer right now, we're going to work on getting to it. So that's it for the question and answer segment of the show. Good work.
Yep.
Well, Zach, a little bit of a short episode today, but we had a lot going on this weekend, and really gearing up to do some shooting on the road like we talked about in the last segment. And what do you got coming up for as far as your schedule goes?
Well, our next race is, we're supposed to be at Humboldt and Grand Valley, but there's still a lot of snow on the ground, so see if it dries up. The temperatures are supposed to increase this end of this week, but we'll see what happens. But after that, we'll go to Louisiana and run some races down there. Should be nice down there, hopefully. And after that, we'll go to the 10,000 to win King of America race at Humboldt, and I think that's where we're gonna show a lot more hanging with the Z-Man at the track kind of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of you guys want to see what happens on the road and what's inside the trailer. We'll do all that stuff when we're out at the track. I got a question for you because I've never been down that far south. What's the difference between a track in Louisiana and what we're used to seeing, most of us are used to seeing up here, the bread and butter, Iowa, Minnesota. What are the tracks like down there?
Just mainly different dirt conditions. It's just a whole different dirt. You could have that red clay or red sandy clay kind of dirt. It's just a lot different down there. Temperatures, a lot of humidity, so you just never know what you're going to get. But it's definitely different than your traditional black Iowa dirt or Minnesota dirt that you get up here.
Cool. So, like we mentioned, going to do some shooting on the road. What else is going on? I'm going to Racewise, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming episode here real soon. And we'll meet up for King of America. And what we'd like to do with you guys is have another contest on Facebook. So what we're going to do is, for everybody that shares one of the Hangin' with the Z-Man videos, whether it's episode 1 through 4, this episode, the blooper reel, whatever, when you share that, when you see that on your screen and you click share to put that on your page, we can keep track of that. We're going to draw 2 names from everybody that shares one of our videos here, and we're going to send out a couple t-shirts. And they're the brand new 2013 version of the shirt. They're really sharp. I think we got gray and black. So we'll notify the winners and shoot them out to you in the mail. Otherwise, you can find Zach on YouTube at YouTube / Zach Vanderbeek Racing. You can find him at the same address, facebook.com / Zach Vanderbeek Racing. And you can find him on Twitter at Zach Vanderbeek. So
it's a lot of letters.
It's a lot of Z's and V's.
I know. It's long. You should sign it.
It's hard on a guy whose name is just Chris Brown.
Right.
What else you got to say?
Not too much. I just thanks for tuning in, and we have a lot of fun doing these, and we'll just gonna keep plugging away here. We got a pretty good start to the year.
Great. Well, see you fans at the track. Stop down and say hi, and until next time, take it easy.